everyone, it is April from Getting Hogo With It, and today we're here to do my May TBR. Before we dive in, I should just address, if you see red eyes and a little bit like maybe there are lines on my face, I just woke up from a lovely nap on the couch. And it was one of those naps where like it's stolen time. Barry's downstairs with Nora. You know it's not going to last long, even though they're still downstairs and he's let me come on upstairs and film. It was one of those sleeps though, where it's like delicious because you know it won't last forever. I find when naps can go on for 4 hours and nothing's stopping you, they're not quite as delicious as the naps where you're like, this is perfect. In any case, you can tell that I'm a mom because of how beloved I'm talking about sleep. It's so obvious. So what am I going to read in May when I'm not sleeping? That is the question. And I've got a big old stack here, and kind of themed some of them are, which is interesting as I was looking at the stack. But there are 2 books that are on the go at the moment that I wanted to address that I'm absolutely going to continue to read in May. The first book is Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. Now, this was suggested to me by the lovely Kim, who has passed away. I think I've mentioned her a few times. She was part of our little Getting Hogo With It community, the Booktube community, and I miss her dearly. And I'm kind of going through the comments and seeing which books that she recommended to me, and then picking up some of those books. So that book, The Sundown Motel, is on my Kobo, and I'm reading that, really enjoying it. Some of the scenes are truly scary. So the whole synopsis of this is we follow 2 women in 2 different timelines. We follow Viv, I think in the 80s-ish, where she, needs to get away from her home. She has a kind of domineering mother. She leaves her hometown and says she's going to make it in New York as an actress. She doesn't have any real interest in acting. And she ends up not in New York City, but in New York, I think it's New York State, at the Sundown Motel, and she has the night shift. And unfortunately for her, it is filled with ghosts. The Sundown Motel is very much haunted, and she is working there during that time. And then she disappears. And we flash forward several years to her niece, who has always wondered what happened to her aunt. Her family really hasn't talked about her and just said, she's dead, the end. But no one had really looked for Viv. And so she decides to go and do that herself. And she ends up also working at the Sundown Motel. So I'm really, really liking it. It's very good. And I just like Simone St. James. She blurs, horror in some ways, a light horror, with this haunted aspect in her stories with mystery as well. And I just really have been enjoying that. So I'm going to continue with that. The book that I'm listening to on audio is Any Human Heart by William Boyd. I heard about this from Grace over at GK Reads, who I really, really love. And this follows a man throughout his life. So when we meet him in the story, he is introducing and giving the reader his stack of journals. And the journals begin with when he is, I believe, in high school, and then go all the way to, old age. I will say the main character is a pretentious little crappy nuisance of a person. He is a womanizer to the extreme and doesn't care about anyone's feelings at all. Like, I really, really hate him, but we are following him. I think it's just after World War I that we begin the story. I know we're heading into World War II. I'm hoping things don't go so well for him in World War II. Like, I'm waiting for things to challenge him. He is like a little rich boy. he drives me insane, and I'm ready for him to have some hardships, to know how it feels. And yeah, so a book I love to hate, kind of, that's how I'm feeling. It is good writing in a lot of ways because I'm so annoyed with him. So I am going to continue on with that, and I will try not to pull my hair out whilst reading it. Okay, so now we're going to get onto the books on my physical TBR. I've got a stack here. On my spring TBR, you guys probably saw The Last Garden in England, and this is definitely something I still want to read. The cover is stunning. Yes, I need all of the gardeny bits. We ourselves are talking about starting some work in our front yard, backyard, to do some landscaping. We've just got like grass at the moment and like paving stones. So it needs a little color. So hopefully this will give me some inspiration. So this follows a garden at Highbury House. We follow it at different periods of time and different women exploring those gardens and the house. In 1907, Venetia Smith is a garden designer, and she is hired to create this stunning garden at Highbury House. We flash forwards to 1944, and there are several women, land girls, cooks, all of these people who go together to stay at this home, and I think a lot of drama ensues at this house together. And then in present day, we follow Emma Lovell, who is dedicated to her career, to breathing new life into long neglected gardens. So there's something in here that has a bit of a Kate Morton vibe to me. I don't know if there's going to be a big, huge mystery that we need to solve, but I love the idea of this opulent garden that once was, that needs to be restored in some way, and the mysteries of people's lives in the past. Place is such an interesting topic to me, and what a beautiful place to spend some pages in. So I'm really looking forward to reading The Last Garden in England. So the next two books, I've got a bit of like a The Help kind of theme here. I don't know. You'll notice the whole thing has a bit of a theme throughout it, but I don't know if I'll read all of these books. Maybe I'll just pick like one book from the themes that I've chosen here. So for The Help, I've got The Maid to begin with by Anita Prose. I've had this on my shelf for quite a while now. I know it's a new release, but they've been plopped on my shelves for, I think, far too long. This follows a woman named Molly Gray. She's a bit of she struggles with her social skills. She really struggles to make friends and understand jokes and that kind of thing. So she just kind of does her own thing. She was raised, I believe, by her grandmother, who has recently passed away. And she luckily has a job that she really loves. She's very good at. It also doesn't require a lot of interaction with people. And it's as a maid at this hotel that she stays at, that she works at, I should say. Unfortunately for her, she goes to clean one of the rooms, and there is a dead body there of a very infamous and wealthy man. He is dead, and the police are looking into her, and she has to somehow prove her innocence whilst not having very good social skills. So I think it sounds kind of quirky and a lot of fun. I think it would be a lot of fun. So I'd love to read The Maid. Another book that I recently picked up that just, I'm really excited about, guys. This is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. It's a retelling of Jane Eyre. I love Jane Eyre. It is such a beautiful book to my mind. Like, I was literally in the delivery room with an epidural listening to Jane Eyre while giving birth to Nora. Like, it means a lot to me. So this is a retelling, and I just have high hopes. We meet Jane, who lives in Birmingham, Alabama, and she's a dog walker for the wealthy families who live in the Thornfield Estates. While she's doing this, she will pop into people's homes and maybe nab things here and there. A little piece of jewelry here, a little knickknack there that might be of some substantial worth, but nobody seems to really notice. Now, while she's working the job, she meets a man named Eddie, and Eddie's wife has passed away. His wife Beatrice has passed away, and Jane sees an opportunity here to maybe rise in ranks. I don't know, like a rags to riches kind of story is what it says on the back. So I have very high hopes that I'm going to love it. I think it's going to be kind of funny, and it's also meant to be a bit of a mystery. So fingers crossed, I will adore this. And then I have 2 courtroom dramas. Courtroom dramas are one of my favorite things. I just find them so fascinating. So I have 2. One of them is just being released this month. This is The Murder Rule by Dervla McTiernan, and it says on the back, first rule, make them like you. Second rule, make them need you. Third rule, make them pay. So we follow a law student, and the law firm who takes her on thinks she's very much a go-getter, thinks that she is going to work really hard on this case to get this person on trial taken out of the system, proven innocent of the murder that he is convicted of doing, and off of death row. However, she wants to bury him, and I just think that sounds incredible. I just can't imagine how she's gonna work that out. And the backstory, like, there has to be a really good reason that you're going to jeopardize your entire career to end one man. So let's see what that's about. Another book that I think actually might be the next book that I read, because I've just been thinking of it, or like on repeat. Every time I think about reading, I actually think about this book, and that is False Witness. You guys have seen me have this on a TBR. Oh, how many times, guys? Like 7 or 8 at least. I think Katie over at Chapter Stacks recently talked about this, and it's much more, it's different than I thought it was going to be, I will say. So False Witness is about apparently 2 sisters, and when they are young, and this happens at the very beginning apparently, when they are young, they are babysitting a little boy, and they discover that the little boy is being abused terribly by his father. The father comes home from wherever he was, out gallivanting, whatever, and they kill him. They kill him, and they move on with their life. The little boy, I don't know if he's in the system or what happens to the little boy, but we meet one of those sisters as an adult. She has a very stable life, very good job. She is now a lawyer herself, and her boss calls her one night and says, we've got a new case. It is of a man who has been accused of raping multiple women. We have to get him off. And she's like, a likely story, but I will defend him. And so she goes into the prison, I think, or somewhere to meet this man. And it is the little boy. It's the little boy grown up. What? He knows what she did. The only way for her to keep the secret, I believe, is to make sure that the ruling comes in as innocent. What? It sounds so good. I really love Karen Slaughter, and it's been so long since I've read her. And she has a new book, a new standalone coming out this summer that I want to read as well. So let's do it, April. Let's do this. Okay? Pep talk. The last 2 books, the theme is motherhood and children. Motherhood and children. But also very good for May, because here in Canada, at least, I think Canada and the US, Mother's Day is soon upon us, like this coming weekend. So, Magpie by Elizabeth Day is a book that is coming out on May 3rd. And it follows a couple who are very much having a hard time conceiving. They're in a happy relationship. Everything else is going well for them. That feels very familiar. But getting pregnant is not easy. And it costs a lot of money to do IVF unless it's covered by the Ontario government or the government. So they are needing to scrimp and save in order to do IVF. So they're in that process. They decide to have someone come on and live with them. And they make the decision to add Kate to the mix. Kate seems lovely at first until it becomes quite clear that she's like going to push every single boundary. And she becomes kind of obsessed with our main character, Marissa. I love that storyline. I think that sounds fascinating. So, Magpie sounds good. I think Kate's probably going to try and sleep with the husband. That's what I think is going to happen. Oh God, everything's falling. The last book, and another book that has been on every single TBR that has ever been known to man, is The Unheard by Nikki French. And this follows a woman who has recently decided to separate from her husband. She has a toddler named Poppy, but she just thinks it's better for their family if they separate. And Poppy has started coming home with strange like drawings, and when her mom asks her like, tell me about this drawing, she says he killed and killed and killed, or something along those lines. And the mom is like, what do I do with that? And it goes from there. And there's not really more that I need to know. I know I'm in incredibly good hands when it comes to Nikki French. I just trust them entirely. So I am very, very happy about reading this. I really want to read all of these books. There's definitely a bit of a theme of reading mysteries and thrillers. I'm moving into that period in my mind, like mysteries, thrillers. Summer becomes thrillers, horror. I don't know. My brain is all over the place. But those are kind of the themes that happen in my mind. So those are the books that I'm hoping to read in May. Let me know in the comments below what you are. Have you read any of these books, and did you love them as much as I want to love them? I'd love to know. And I'm going to go and hang out with my family downstairs, I think. I feel rejuvenated after the nap. I needed it badly. Kind of coming out the other side of all of the illnesses. We got gastro, we got, oh my God, we've gotten everything. I feel like every time I talk to you guys, I'm like, I'm just coming out of this illness, and then it's that illness. But it just is. I feel like when you have a toddler in daycare, you are always coming out of a cold. So this will be my life for, I guess, another year before she goes to school, which is also a bizarre thing to think of, her going to school at all. Like, anyway, I'm just babbling now. Apologies. I hope that you guys are well. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Goodbye.